Hello and good evening. You are watching Newsplus this Tuesday evening. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Faith Nyaude. Quick look at stories that are making the headlines tonight. Zimbabwe's gold and foreign currency reserves backing the Zimbabwe gold currency, the ZiG, have for the first time reached the $1 billion mark, according to the latest update from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe Monetary Policy Committee communique. We review what this means to the ordinary citizen right here on Newsplus. Zimbabwe is exploring the cultivation of hard wheat after local companies achieved a major breakthrough in developing seed varieties suitable for domestic production. That story in our look at today's post-cabinet media briefing. Now, still with an update from the post-cabinet media briefing, we will give you an update on Form 4 students who were barred from sitting from an examination over what was deemed inappropriate haircuts. And in our look at sport, the National Sports Stadium is expected to be ready before the start of the 2026 sporting season. That update and more when we take a look at sport. Our top story this evening. Now, Zimbabwe's gold and foreign currency reserves backing the Zimbabwe gold currency, the ZiG, have for the first time reached the $1 billion mark. This according to the latest update from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe Monetary Policy communique. The Reserve Bank also announced that export receipts surged to $13 billion in the first 10 months of 2025. The highest on record, signaling sustained foreign currency inflows and improved confidence across key productive sectors. The MPC also welcomed the downward review of the intermediated money transfer tax on ZiG transactions from 2% to 1.5%, describing the measure as key to promoting use of the domestic currency and enhancing financial inclusion. Now, let us take a look at some of the resolutions from the latest Monetary Policy Committee meeting. We're now joined by Eben Mabunda for an analysis of the forex reserves that have now hit $1 billion. Eben.
Well, good evening. $1 billion there, of course, the equivalent of 1.5 months of import cover. But let's take a look at the statistical trajectory that Zimbabwe has moved in this particular regard, starting at $300 million in April of 2024, closing the year at about $500 million there, and starting the year and moving up to about $629 million by March of 2025. And you can see from the graph that upward trajectory at the close of September, $900 million, and now, of course, the start of December 2025, we are at $1 billion, and of course there are indications of this trajectory actually being maintained, moving from this particular point. As I said, the strategic level would be, of course, 6 months worth of import cover, and with the collection of royalties where these minerals are concerned, platinum as well as gold, the expectation that we could close the year at about $1.1 billion worth of foreign currency reserves for the economy as we seek to hit 6 months worth of import cover. And so this has been the trajectory moving right up to this particular point. But the big question now would be, how is Zimbabwe faring against its regional counterparts? We start by taking a look at South Africa with foreign currency reserves of 72 billion United States dollars. You look at Zambia, our northern neighbor, at 5.1 billion United States dollars. Mozambique, $4 billion. Botswana at $3.8 billion. There we are. Zimbabwe at $1 billion. Malawi, however, at less than $1 billion. But this being the indication of just how things are playing out in the region. We are seeing a move by regional as well as global economies toward the collection of gold reserves. And this is a phenomenon that's been noted by the World Gold Council, and Zimbabwe also a part and parcel of that particular wave and bandwagon as it seeks to fortify its domestic currency, the ZiG.
Eben, thank you so much for that explainer. Now, still staying with this development and trying to understand what this means, we have Tapio Nashikusereka, an economic analyst, on standby for insights on the Central Bank Committee resolutions. Tapio, rather, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us right here on Newsplus. Now, Zimbabwe's gold reserves have now hit $1 billion. How important is that?
Oh, good evening. Thank you. Yeah, I think when it comes to gold reserves accumulation, we are heading towards the right trajectory. If we look where we are coming from for the past 1.5 years, because we somewhere around 340, but right now we are on 1 billion. So that increase in terms of gold reserves or of forex reserves accumulation is a good sign in terms of maintaining economic stability and giving a breather to financial institutions. And if we take into consideration GDP to maybe to come up with a country liquidity metric where we calculate maybe using forex reserves to GDP, we notice that there's a big improvement in terms of country liquidity if we take into consideration that metrics as a measure of economic liquidity at large.
Now, Tapio, the central bank says it welcomes the reduction in the 2% tax to 1.5% in the ZiG currency. What is your reading of that position?
I think it's good news to the entire economy as the government trying to lessen the burden to the citizens. So I think in terms of improving the purchasing power of the entire economy, they did well, because that 0.5% decrease in terms of IMTT tax will give some individual or the economy a leverage to spend more as compared to the previous period before the reduction of IMTT.
Now, lastly, before we let you go, interest rates have been kept at 35%, while statutory reserves were held steady. Now, with year-end inflation now expected at between 15 to 17%, a cautious move this is?
I think it's a good move in terms of trying to modulate inflation, because if they try to reduce those numbers, surely we are likely to see an increase in terms of money supply in the economy, which leads to inflation. So I think that maintenance of those interest rates will give us a breather in terms of modulating inflation numbers in 2026.
Well, Tapio, thank you so much for joining us and for giving us those insights. That was Tapio Nashikusereka, an economic analyst, as we're talking about the latest Reserve Bank monetary policy statement that came out. Now, Zimbabwe is exploring the cultivation of hard wheat after local companies achieved a major breakthrough in developing seed varieties suitable for domestic production. This follows a record-breaking wheat harvest for the 2025 winter season after 640,195 tons were achieved, the highest ever wheat yield in the country's history. Zimbabwe requires about 360,000 tons of wheat per year to ensure adequate supply of bread and associated products. The country produces soft wheat and imports about 30% of its hard wheat requirements for blending purposes. However, 100% locally produced wheat is being used to make bread by some manufacturers. In addition, the country has harvested 47,709 tons of barley at an average yield of 7.75 tons per hectare. This is compared to 7 tons per hectare achieved in 2024. Speaking at a post-cabinet briefing in Harare today, Information Minister Dr. Jennifer Musore said trials are already underway to produce hard wheat characteristics.
The grain stock at the Grain Marketing Board as at the 27th of November 2025 stands at 180,000 metric tons, out of which ADA has contributed 60,347 metric tons. The harvesting of the wheat crop has been completed with a total of 640,195 metric tons harvested from the 122,000 hectares at an average yield of 5.2 metric tons per hectare. Trials are underway at ADA to produce a variety with hard wheat characteristics. A total of 47,709 metric tons of barley has been harvested from the 6,156 hectares planted. A high average yield of 7.75 metric tons per hectare has been achieved compared to the 7 metric tons per hectare in the year 2024.
Government has also approved the Memorandum of Understanding that will be entered into with Spain, aimed at promoting cooperation in the field of tourism through digital marketing and development of tourist destination. Responding to questions during the post-cabinet briefing, Tourism and Hospitality Industry Minister Bakbra Rozi said by signing the memorandum, the two countries will also be strengthening their existing cordial relations.
Spain is the best country in Europe, together with France, that drive gastronomy tourism. Overall, France is number one. However, Spain is the best in using gastronomy tourism for sustainable tourism initiatives.
Now, still with the post-cabinet briefing, government has described as inappropriate a case in which 9 learners were barred from writing a ZIMSEC final Family and Religious Studies ordinary level paper over haircuts at a local school in Harare. Primary and Secondary Education Minister Turai Moyo said the action was inconsistent with ministry guidelines and confirmed that ZIMSEC will grade the paper, which was written to ensure that their results are processed. He also said there is no explicit policy on haircuts for students.
Because when they came back after the haircut had been done, it was 55 minutes into the examination, and our policies state that students are only allowed during the first 15 minutes when the exam starts. So the intervention we are going to take as government is that we are going to apply the aggradation policy, where we give an aggregate pass to the student. We are going to look at the top 4 students in how they performed in the first paper, and the last 4. Then we are going to mark their scripts and give a grade to those students who are affected, so they will not be disadvantaged, because we felt that we could not give another paper to those students.
You are watching Newsplus. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Festive is here, Shah. First Street lights up, and suddenly the vibe is back. It stretches from Harare to Hollywood, even to Old Trafford. Jesse Gilles Festive. All I want this festive season? The stories that keep us hooked. The ngoma, the rhythm, the laughter, the drama, the goals, the world-class entertainment that brightens up the holidays for the whole family. All I want is DSTV.
The Phoenix Podcast has always brought you the best of the best.
I missed on that blessing, but I also regained it in some way.
In seasons 1 and 2, we introduced you to the industry's brightest stars, the ones at the top of their game, the creme de la creme. But season 3 promises to be even more exciting. We're bringing you even more fascinating guests, including the renowned farmer, Patrick Matadi. And to top it all off, our very own host, Ken Sharp, will be stepping out of the interviewer's chair and into the hot seat as he gets interviewed by a surprise guest host.
From the boss, we've been beaten, but we're not beaten yet. We can still rise.
Konapo Ipapo by ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294, the place to be.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, several buildings housing inmates at the Kami Prison Complex Medium Prison were extensively damaged by a storm that hit the area on Monday afternoon. The storm, which reportedly lasted a few hours, damaged the roofs of several buildings and about 160 meters of a perimeter fence around the prison complex. No injuries to inmates were reported, and all inmates are accounted for. Inmates from the damaged buildings were moved to other cells that are intact. Officials from the Zimbabwe Prisons and Correctional Service, Civil Protection and Joint Operations Committee were on the ground assessing this damage. Meanwhile, in Manicaland, the Department of Civil Protection is carrying out disaster management simulations after the province recorded several cases of flooding, with the Met Department forecasting heavy rains in the days ahead. The simulations are part of a broader national disaster risk management plan.
And this is one way of testing preparedness. So this is a desktop simulation, these first 2 days, and then on the third day we're going to do a live drill where we are going to have Mutare City responding to an incident. So we check how fast they've reached to the scene of incident and are they following their laid down plans. Because one way of not doing very well, of not responding well during a disaster is not to have a plan. So a plan must be followed, and we insist that all districts, all civil protection structures have their updated disaster risk management plans.
Now, in other news, the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission says deep-rooted weaknesses in public systems continue to fuel corruption across key sectors, with mining, procurement, and data management emerging as high-risk areas. As the country refines its second national anti-corruption strategy, stakeholders in Mlayo say stronger enforcement, digitalization, and tighter monitoring are urgently needed.
Zimbabwe's fight against corruption faces persistent obstacles, from manual government systems that encourage backdoor dealings to weak enforcement structures and slow asset recovery processes that allow illicit gains to slip away. Officials say these challenges continue to erode public trust and split the national economy. ZAC General Manager, Legal Services and Asset Recovery, Charity Matumbo, addressing on behalf of ZAC Chairperson Michael Reza, said the biggest challenge remains the gaps in systems. She said the new strategy is pushing for digitalization and stronger institutional coordination so that corruption is detected early and proceeds can be recovered efficiently.
The strategy will be in sync with our national priorities as espoused in the recently launched National Development Strategy 2, and fully aligned with regional, continental, and international anti-corruption frameworks. that is the SADC Protocol Against Corruption, the African Union Convention on Prevention and Combating Corruption, and the United Nations Convention Against Corruption.
The Commission says corruption risks are highest in mining, procurement, education, and public sector data systems, sectors where poor oversight and complex paper-based procedures make it difficult to track transactions or detect manipulation.
The success of this strategy will not only depend on Chapter 13 institutions, that is the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission and the National Prosecuting Authority, but is heavily dependent on each public and private institution. Every leader and every stakeholder represented in this room and those at home are part of the fight.
Beyond prevention, the strategy also targets unexplained wealth, cross-border crime and money laundering, which officials say require more aggressive tracking and international cooperation. Albert Mitzi, Zak Blayo provincial head, said the strategy addresses community concerns on inconsistent systems, weak oversight, and that sometimes citizens don't know their rights.
Every one of us to carry forward the spirit of collaboration, collective resolve that has characterized the crafting of the NACS 2 document. The validation process may be concluding, but our anti-corruption fight, guided by the NACS 2 document, is just but beginning.
Stakeholders in Bulawayo underscored the need for transparent procurement systems, stronger audit trails, and better protection for whistleblowers. They say that without tamper-proof digital records and clear accountability mechanisms, corruption will remain difficult to detect and even harder to prosecute. The National Anti-Corruption Strategy 2, the blueprint guiding Zimbabwe's anti-corruption agenda, proposes reforms to tighten regulations, overhaul vulnerable sectors, and strengthen the entire enforcement value chain from detection to asset recovery. Officials say these changes are key to restoring public confidence and safeguarding national resources as the country pushes towards Vision 2030. The Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission believes the new strategy could mark a turning point, but only if institutions strengthen their systems and citizens play their part in demanding accountability. For ZTN Prime, I'm Andile Chuma in Bulawayo.
Now, motorists are praising the new traffic measures, saying they are more efficient and convenient for road users. This follows the government's move to strengthen nationwide road safety enforcement, which includes equipping the Vehicle Inspectorate Department with smart vehicles, a patrol fleet, and other modern tools. These tech-enabled vehicles only flag cars that violate traffic laws, saving time for compliant motorists.
Social media has been buzzing with Declaration Key December, a clear indication that the festive season is upon us. Unfortunately, it is also during this time that there is a hike in road traffic accidents. Now in November, the Vehicle Inspectorate Department of Zimbabwe received tow trucks, patrol vehicles, amongst other equipment to help them strengthen their mandate. Now today we join the VID team, which will be conducting inspections along the road just to get first-hand appreciation of how these new tools of trade will help strengthen their operations and also contribute to road safety during the festive season.
Okay, this is Harare Bulawayo Road, and we've chosen this site to introduce our new enforcement smart vehicle, as you can see over here. Usually just before holidays we do holiday awareness and patrols on the road to prepare people for the holiday.
For long-distance drivers like John, time is everything. He left Harare for Ngeze this morning, and for him, convenience on the road is key. In the past, VID checkpoints relied on manual inspections, which often caused delays for drivers like John. But now, with smart vehicle on the road, vehicle checks are computerized and faster. This system significantly reduces waiting time for motorists who are not in violation, allowing officers to focus on vehicles that require attention. John applauds the authorities, saying this development is long overdue and extremely important.
aiwa akuchengetedza utano hwanhu murodhi ende vanonwa mune muchibata vese zvese zvikungoitwa pano zvese mitero yese kutongobatwa nyange usina kubhadhara zvese aiwa akahwani.
VID officials are confident that the new smart vehicle will boost enforcement rates.
As you can see, vehicles have been passing here, but not every vehicle is stopped because we don't have capacity to test every vehicle, to stop and test every vehicle. But now with this, every vehicle is captured.
Frequent highway driver Philip Farirai also encouraged continued law enforcement to protect lives on the road.
Because mota dzedu idzi vanofanira kucheka kuti mota dzedu dziri worth here kunge dzichifamba pamugwagwa apa. Aiwa vemutemo ngavaite basa ravo, tinozvitenda chaizvo izvozvo.
In addition to the smart vehicles, the inspectorate now operates a fleet of more than 40 service vehicles dedicated to patrols and inspections, further enhancing road safety efforts.
If you notice, most of our patrols, we do roving patrols. The small utility vehicles enable us to go everywhere. We are in all places, we can get to anywhere, we can move around town, we can be on the highways, we can also be on your gravel roads because they are a little bit high.
The visibility of the VID is also crucial for effective law enforcement, and the new branded vehicles have greatly enhanced this presence on the road.
They are also equipped with beacon lights. They are also branded for visibility, and I'm sure we are going to go a long way to achieve our mandate of road safety.
The Vehicle Inspectorate Department was conducting one of their highway patrols along the busy Harare-Bulawayo highway. Now, this is one of the busiest routes, and just like any other major highways into the capital city, it also passes through several suburbs, adding into the heavy flow of traffic. It's safe to say that their work is cut out for them, but also it seems as though they're very much ready to keep our roads safe during the festive season. For ZTM Prime, I am Sitachisiwe Kwaza in Harare.
Now, Zimbabwe continues to make significant strides in the fight against tuberculosis, but health authorities say more still needs to be done, especially in detecting and treating drug-resistant tuberculosis. This came out during a training session aimed at improving media coverage and public awareness of drug-resistant TB. Our reporter, Talent Gore, gives us more.
Zimbabwe's vision is clear: to end tuberculosis by 2030. While the country has recorded remarkable progress, health authorities warn that the battle is far from won. Speaking at a media training workshop on drug-resistant TB recently, authorities highlighted that drug resistance remains one of the biggest challenges within the national TB response. Over the years, Zimbabwe has improved TB treatment outcomes. Recent statistics show that the TB death rate has dropped from around 10% in 2018 to 7% in 2024, and efforts are underway to reduce this even further.
We're making efforts to make sure that we even further reduce the death rate to below 5%. We're using a number of strategies to make sure that we improve the quality of care for people with TB, and as well as reduce the catastrophic costs that are associated with TB.
And in this fight, authorities believe the media is not just a bystander. With the power to inform, educate, and inspire, the media has a critical role to play in shaping public perception and driving behavior change. Improving the way drug-resistant TB stories are told, they say, will help communities understand symptoms, treatment options, and the importance of early diagnosis.
Also brought even the survivors, people who have survived their TB, because they are also very key in the response. Their voice, their experience, and their stories, they also shape how the response or even the services are provided. So we have also brought all those people on the table, which we think is a very huge milestone in the fight against their TB. And we think all these efforts contributed so much in our country's removal from the top 20 countries that are highly burdened with TB, HIV, and
As Zimbabwe pushes towards its 2030 target, partnerships between health authorities and the media remain key to raising awareness and ensuring no TB case goes undetected. Talent Gore, ZTN Prime, Harare.
Now, over 37 villagers who benefited from the presidential Indigenous poultry scheme last year have successfully handed over chicks to new beneficiaries as the nation intensifies efforts to achieve food security, starting at household level. Government has so far distributed over 1.8 million chicks countrywide, marking significant progress in strengthening community-based agricultural development.
This is a transformative government initiative designed to empower rural households through distribution of indigenous poultry breeds. One of the villagers shared her excitement, explaining that after receiving 100 chickens last year, their group has managed to increase their flock to 1,500. She highlighted that they have earned over $1,920 from chicken sales, money that has been reinvested into purchasing feed and maize seed, enabling them not only to sustain their families but also expand their farming activities.
Huku dzedu dzakaita zvakanaka tikakwanisa kugolana pauteni hwedu umwe neumwe ane huku dzake 150 dzimwe dzacho takatengesa dzinokuti dziri kuchechenywa zviro kwazvo takakwanisawo kuzoreiza mari inoita iyo 1,920 ka 1,920 yekutengesa nhiyo takati yava mwaka wekurima tobatsiridza chirongwa chepfumvudza dzimwe ndima dzedu dzatinorima nemombe totenga mbeu nefertilizer.
As part of the model, each household initially receives 10 chicks. Once the birds mature and multiply, beneficiaries hand over an equal number of chicks to other villagers. This passed-on system ensures continuity, growth and inclusivity. Meanwhile, another group of 31 villagers in Goromonzi surpassed their targets, successfully growing their flock to 4,650 chickens and producing over 6,510 eggs. Their achievement demonstrates the potential of rural communities in scaling up production.
tikazotanga kudziendesa muwiki 27 saka pari zvino tagovana tese pamwe chete dzinokwana kuita idzo 4,650 mazai akaendesa akaita iwo 6,510.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Professor Obedui, commended the villagers in Ward 16 for their outstanding commitment. He noted that the success of the program depends on community ownership, discipline and cooperation. He urged beneficiaries across the country to emulate these efforts, emphasizing that the handover system is key to expanding household production, improving nutrition, and ultimately building food-secure communities.
So we saw 37 villages who got in Ward 16, Goromonzi, who got last year, 19 of them passed on today. So this is what we are encouraging, that this is a pass-on scheme. The president gave seed poultry and seed chicks, and now those that have matured, we expect the beneficiaries to now pass on so that the program goes on as a pass-on scheme.
As more households receive and pass on chicks, the presidential poultry scheme continues to strengthen rural livelihoods, diversify household incomes, and foster resilience against food shortages. For ZTM Prime, I am Mashudu Mambo in Goromonzi.
Well, you are watching Newsplus. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Join the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion, the Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries and Zim Papers for a special edition of the post-budget breakfast meeting. The symposium takes place on Monday, 8 December 2025 at Golden Conifer in Harare and on Monday, 15 December 2025 at the Rainbow Hotel in Bulawayo. Both sessions begin at 8 a.m. This is your chance to engage key stakeholders, unpack the national budget, and explore business and policy implications for 2026. The Honorable Minister of Finance, Professor Mthuli Ncube, will lead the discussion. For more details and registration, contact the numbers provided on your screens. Don't miss this opportunity to shape the economic conversation.
Didn't graduate? I guess I blew it. You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt
not pay.
That guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Now, when I look at news from beyond our borders, we start off in the DRC, where they have declared an end to the latest Ebola outbreak in the country that killed 45 people on the 4th of September, the government confirmed a new Ebola outbreak in Kasai province in the central DRC, the country's 16th outbreak since 1976. Since September, 64 cases have been reported in the Bulape health zone in Kasai, including 53 confirmed and 11 probable cases, with 45 deaths. According to the WHO, for the first time in an outbreak, an innovative treatment facility known as the Infectious Disease Treatment Module was set up to bolster safer and more patient-friendly care. Still in DRC, residents in the Eastern Democratic Republic have expressed skepticism ahead of a new peace agreement scheduled to be signed in Washington on the 4th of December between DRC President Felix Tshisekedi and his Rwandan counterpart Paul Kagame. They recalled previous accords which failed to halt the advance of the M23 armed group or improve security in the region. Now, some independent analysts say repeated agreements have not ended the violence and warned that the current process could follow the same pattern. They say that Rwanda remains a central actor in the conflict, while other international actors, as well as regional players such as Kenya and Uganda, continue to influence the situation.
Nous étions en train de penser que si la République démocratique du Congo était un État au vrai sens du terme, cette guerre prendrait fin par les armes. Parce que ce n'est pas pour la première fois que la République démocratique du Congo signe des accords et avec le Rwanda et avec les groupes rebelles. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, ils sont en train de demander quelque chose. Et demain, ils nous diront que nous n'avons pas respecté ces accords. Et autre chose que nous devons retenir, cette guerre prendra fin d'où elle est venue. Là où ces accords sont en train d'être signés, ce sont les mêmes acteurs qui sont en train de téléguider cette guerre. Aujourd'hui, nous allons signer avec le Rwanda, mais nous sommes en train d'oublier qu'il y a un autre ennemi très dangereux qui est le Kenya qui est de l'autre côté, il y a l'Ouganda qui est de l'autre côté, mais nous ne voyons que le Rwanda.
Now, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has condemned the military takeover in Guinea-Bissau and urged the swift restoration of constitutional order, calling for the country's halted electoral process to resume without delay. Sierra Leone's foreign minister described the discussions as fruitful, saying both sides have set out their respective concerns. Delegations from Senegal, Cape Verde and Togo traveled to Bissau as part of the ECOWAS mission, which comes ahead of a regional summit on the 14th of December.
As we see, we've had today very fruitful discussions. Both sides have expressed their different concerns. On the part of ECOWAS, the chair of the authority condemning the coup and calls for the immediate restoration of constitutional order, which includes allowing the electoral process to a logical conclusion. On the other part, from the side of the high-ranking military officers, they express their reasons for why they take over of government. In their words, to ensure that they restore order and security in the country.
Over in Peru, dozens of migrants from different countries tried to avoid Peruvian police officers in the border area between Peru and Chile to enter the country. This led to a conflict between police and citizens, and according to reports from local media, a group of migrants attempted to take advantage of a change in the shift of Peruvian police surveillance and move towards the customs area. After failing to force their way through one of the access points, they encountered Peruvian officers and a confrontation ensued. Now, the Peruvian government has reportedly activated a special operation to monitor the situation and ensure the safety of migrants, many of whom are traveling in difficult conditions with limited access to food and water supplies.
Desde hoy, al mediodía, han ingresado un número de migrantes por la línea de frontera. Ellos en este momento hay que tener en cuenta, se supone que están en situación irregular. Va a tener que Migraciones hacer una revisión de los documentos si se encuentran realmente en regla para ingresar a territorio peruano o de lo contrario van a tener que regresar por donde vinieron. Ha habido ya un contingente policial que ha podido detener este ingreso que se ha dado a territorio peruano. Va a ser Migraciones hoy en día quien pueda revisar los documentos y de lo contrario, como lo mencionamos, deberían los migrantes retornar por donde han ingresado, es decir, por la línea de frontera.
And over in Indonesia, the death toll from floods and landslides across 3 provinces on Indonesia's Sumatra Island has risen to 604, with 464 others still listed as missing. The National Disaster Management Agency said search and rescue operations are continuing across affected areas. Now, about 570,000 people have been displaced in North Sumatra, West Sumatra, and Aceh. The agency says roads remain buried or washed out, and communication networks are down in many districts, forcing relief supplies to be delivered mainly by air.
Pak nggak tahu bagaimana caranya, makanya Pak kami minta tolong sama Bapak supaya kami bisa dibantu cara kayak mana betulin rumah kami ini Pak, supaya kami bisa tempat tidur lagi Pak. Lihat kondisi rumah.
When we come back, we talk money matters. Stay with us.
Is your company reshaping Zimbabwe's future? Have you launched a groundbreaking product, a revolutionary service, or transformative technology? ZimPapers calls on you to nominate your innovation for the inaugural and prestigious ZimPapers Innovation Awards 2025. This is your platform, your moment to gain national acclaim and showcase how you are moving Zimbabwe forward. Don't just be an innovator, be a vanguard of progress. Nominate yourself or a deserving company now at innovation.awards@zimpapers.co.zw. Nominations close on 30 December 2025. ZimPapers Innovation Awards 2025, championing the ideas that move us forward.
Welcome back, gospel music lovers, to another season of My Ultimate Gospel 10. Your ultimate destination for soul-stirring melodies and inspirational stories.
Man, prepare me for a good day.
And God is faithful because He's holy.
Like, wow, this is beautiful. Each week, they'll be revealing their top 10 gospel songs. Meet Miss Becky K, the dynamic and passionate new presenter for Season 3.
If you are ready, let's get into My Ultimate Gospel 10.
Premiering soon, only on ZTN Prime. Stay tuned and let the music uplift your soul.
Welcome back. You are still watching Newsplus. Now, when I look at business tonight, Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion Minister Professor Mthuli is expected to headline 2 special editions of the post-budget breakfast meetings to be held in Bulawayo and Harare this month. The high-level engagements set for the 8th of December in Harare and the 15th of December in Bulawayo are jointly hosted by the country's largest integrated media group, ZimPapers, and the Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries. We're joined by Business Hub Deputy Editor Kuzanai Sharara to discuss the importance of these meetings. Kuzanai, good evening and thank you so much for joining us. Now, how will these discussions complement the national budget process?
Thank you. So it's very important to have these post-budget breakfast meetings because it allows stakeholders to ask some questions with regards to the proposals that would have been made by the minister. Sometimes we have seen in the past that the minister might even reverse some of the proposals given the presentation that would have been made by stakeholders. At the same time, such a conversation allows the minister to explain some of the measures that he would have put in place, something that he might not have had an opportunity to fully explain when he presented the budget in Parliament. So this is an opportunity for stakeholders, for business executives to come and interact with the minister and get answers to some of the questions that they might have with regards to the 2026 national budget that he was presented in Parliament. So it's very important to continue with this post-budget processes. So the event, one in Harare and another one in Bulawayo, to make sure that by the time most of these measures are implemented, everyone will have a full understanding of how effective and also the impact that they will have with regards to the budget.
So then, how significant is this partnership between Zimpapers and CZI in facilitating such dialogue?
As you are aware, Zimpapers is the biggest media house in Zimbabwe. Also, it is diversified. They've got print media, we've got television, we also have radio broadcasting. And CZI is one of the biggest business member organizations in Zimbabwe, and they've got the technical know-how, and also they've got the muscle in terms of bringing in stakeholders. So it's a good combination that Zimpapers and CZI have had. It's not the first time that we are collaborating with CZI, and also CZI will bring that technical aspect in terms of how to structure the dialogue, the interaction that will take place at the post-budget breakfast meeting. Especially this year, there is for those who attend, you see that there is a difference in terms of how the breakfast meeting will be done.
Thank you so much for joining us and for giving us that update. We'll be touching base when these breakfast meetings do commence. Now, Zimstat and the United Nations today convened the second quarter data for the Development and Innovation Working Group, accelerating efforts to modernize Zimbabwe's data systems for national planning and global reporting. This comes at a time Zimstat is working toward the amendment of the Census Act to ease data integration with regional and international counterparts in development programs. We get more from this report.
Zimbabwe is preparing its 2026 to 2030 national strategy for the development of statistics and reviews progress on NDS1, the Sustainable Development Goals and Agenda 2063. The working group platform comes at a time when the country is restructuring its systems to allow coordination of all data initiatives to ensure timely, credible, and harmonized statistics for policy decisions. Zimstat says rising nation and regional and global development demands have increased pressure on the agency to produce timely, reliable, and comprehensive data.
For implementing its national development strategy for the development of statistics for 2026-2030, evaluating NDS3 innovation and modernization of statistical system in and involving data ecosystem is also very important.
According to Zimstat's latest report, Zimbabwe now has data for 85% of prioritized SDG indicators. The agency is also upgrading its systems with the Open Data Portal 2.0, set for launch in early 2026, while the Open SDG platform is already live to enhance public access to national development indicators.
Zimbabwe has made significant progress in enhancing SDGs data availability, with 85% of prioritized indicators reported as heavy data. Zimstat will present the DFDI the status of SDGs data, including an indication of the timeliness of the data, and the DFDI will propose actions to continue strengthening this area.
United Nations Zimbabwe office stressed that flexible data sharing is now essential, adding that policymakers must have open access to accurate information to drive smarter, evidence-based decisions.
Make sure that we enable evidence-based decision-making and tailored policy responses using our data. So it's demanding that we make the data collection, we analyze, we present it in a way that the policymakers can consume and use it.
As Zimstart moves to close gaps, it continues to strengthen partnerships and is also working on amending the Census Act to ease data sharing across institutions. The UN has pledged continued technical and financial support to ensure Zimbabwe produces quality statistics that drive evidence-based development planning, improving livelihoods. For ZTN Prime, I'm Hannah Mapisire.
Newsplus will be back shortly. Stay with us.
This is AFCON, my friend. Everything is the competition. Everything.
So here they come for the opening game, and away we are here at the African Cup of Nations.
Join our family meeting from the 21st of December to the 18th of January. Purchase a decoder for $30. AFCON 2025, live on Supersport.
Now, a quick look at what's happening on the entertainment front. Ja Praiser and Winky D, two heavyweight musicians, are set to come together on stage at the Hockey Stadium at the National Sports Stadium on New Year's Eve for a mega show being called One Big Party. The show is already being dubbed the show of the year, just a day after it was announced. Social media platforms are already buzzing with opinions, predictions, and fan theories, heightening the anticipation for the concert. This is definitely going to be one for the history books, where a lot of people are hoping to attend. Now, hundreds of children, parents, and friends gathered at the Blayu Amphitheatre on Friday for the much-loved Carols by Candlelight event, celebrating through music, joy, and the spirit of giving as the city officially stepped into the festive season. Now, the annual event, hosted and curated by the City of Blayu in collaboration with the Rotary Club of Blayu, once again brought communities together in a warm display of tradition and generosity.
Hark now, hear the angels sing, a king was born today, and man will live forevermore because of Christmas Day. There is boy child, Jesus Christ was born on Christmas Day. Our shepherds watch, they flock by night, they see a bright new shining star. They hear a choir sing a song, the music's here.
And now for some sporting action. In our look at sports tonight, the Minister of Sport, Recreation, Arts and Culture, Anselm Sanyatwe, says the renovation works at the National Sports Stadium are expected to be done before the start of the 2026 Premier Soccer League season. Minister Sanyatwe said he is pleased with the works that have been done so far, as he gave the contractors time to complete the renovations within a stipulated time frame.
Let me start by saying that the renovations at the National Sports Stadium are indeed at an advanced stage, and I am very, very grateful with the progress so far made. However, I have personally witnessed the contractors working flat out day and night, and I've given them the deadline for them to complete nearly all the refurbishment works at the National Sports Stadium. And the deadline in question, according to your question, is supposed to be done by the beginning of the 2026 season. However, I've also given them slightly time allowance for them to tie up the loose ends. And so, to be precise, it should be before the beginning of the 2026 season.
As the nation commemorates 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, 11 karate practitioners from 7 SADC countries completed a 2-day Guardian Girls Karate program in Harare aimed at combating violence against women and girls. The initiative, run by the World Karate Federation in partnership with UNFPA and the Zimbabwe National Karate Federation, teaches practical self-defense and confidence building rooted in karate values. Zimbabwe is the first African nation to host the global program, reinforcing its leadership in using sport for empowerment. Now, Zimbabwe Karate Federation President Joe Rugwete welcomed the initiative's impact and its potential to reach more women.
Everything went as planned. We hosted the World Karate Federation and the Guardian Girls program. The instructors were training the local and regional instructors. They trained for 2 days, and they have benefited a lot because it's a program that is here to fight gender-based violence. It promotes gender equality, and it fits into our own local missions and objectives as well. So we are very grateful for the program, for the World Karate Federation, the Africa Karate Federation, UNFPA, and the Komayada International Foundation.
The Zimbabwe Karate Federation is set to host its elections this month as it aims to elect leaders that will usher in a new era in the sport, as well as bring the glory days back.
Well, it has been a very difficult year, as I said, that following the COVID pandemic, it has been difficult to get activities back on track. But yeah, we are confident that we will get through. We are going to propose a few constitutional changes to make the system work better than it is currently working. We also have elections in December, so we hope that we will get an executive committee that is going to breathe new life into the organization and yeah, continue to do things from where we have left them.
That's all we had for you on Newsplus this evening. But before we can call it a night, a quick look at stories that made the headlines once again. Zimbabwe's gold and foreign currency reserves backing the Zimbabwe gold currency, the ZiG, have for the first time reached the $1 billion mark. This according to the latest update from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe Monetary Policy Committee communique. We spoke to analysts who revealed what this means for the ordinary citizens. Zimbabwe is exploring the cultivation of hard wheat after local companies achieved a major breakthrough in developing seed varieties suitable for domestic production. We had that story when we took a look at today's post-cabinet media briefing. There was also an update on Form 4 students who were barred from sitting for an examination over what was deemed to be an inappropriate haircut. And in sport, another update of the National Sports Stadium that is expected to be ready before the start of the 2026 sporting season. And with that, we conclude this bulletin. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Faith Nyode. Good evening and enjoy the rest of your viewing.